So the YouTube channel is making a bit of a comeback. So let's just see, when was the last one that I did? Because I think I was wearing the exact same hoodie the time that I recorded coming off the stage. So 9 months ago. Now, I have struggled a bit, and I needed to actually write this all down because I'm starting a little series, and I didn't really want this to be the vibe of this YouTube channel, and I hope it's not the full vibe of the YouTube channel, but I do think it's an important video to put out there, and some things you just cannot fit into 30 seconds for Instagram, so it's a long form video instead. So when I was on stage, I was obviously very low calorie, very strict, sticking to a meal plan, doing cardio the whole time, doing steps the whole time. Everything was monitored to a T, and I stuck to it to get the result that I wanted for a stage. And to be honest, it wasn't even good enough to be on stage. Like, I had different reasons to go on stage, but to be at a competitive level, it just wasn't good enough. When I went into actually doing my prep, my body was already in a state of imbalance. Like, I did not have my menstrual cycle, and I then decided to push it even more and go through prep. So my body coming out of prep was in the worst possible position ever, and even though I was happy with the achievement, and I was so happy that through the process of doing it that I was achieving, afterwards there was this major depression because I was able to just sit, relax. I wasn't working towards anything. And then the reality of the fact that I'm after really screwing up my body and my relationship with food just kind of hit. Suddenly the world was open. I did a video eating my cookies and all that. And throughout the next few months, I had serious bouts of binges that were just uncontrollable. Now, I was going through quite an emotional time of my life anyway. And then, so it was depression, emotional time, food scarcity issues, really bad food scarcity issues. Like, it was like I was an animal trying to actually hunt for their prey. Like, I was very, very protective of food. And even going out for a coffee or something like that gave me such anxiety because I would have so much choice. But then I would also be in my head thinking, you shouldn't be eating that, you shouldn't be eating that. And it was just giving food a really bad label, which then led to the food having a lot of power over me and my whole life. So, like, my binges, to give you some example, would just start with something small and then snowball. So it would be a chocolate bar, let's say one of those multi-pack chocolate bars for the portion size. I have one of them, then the whole pack would be gone. Then I'd go and I'd literally eat anything that was in the press. It did not matter. I would have bagel after bagel, jam, cream. I would literally have, I think there was one stage where I got those little snacks, carnation caramel, cream, everything on it that I could possibly get into me. And it wouldn't matter. Like, I just did not have this sense of feeling full at all. And that was partly because of my hormones being like fucked up and out of balance from stage. But I could never feel that satisfied feeling, ever. No matter how much food I ate. The only feeling that I would get, and that would tell me to stop, is when I actually felt physically sore and physically stuffed. Like, I would not feel like, oh, I've had loads, happy out. I would feel sore. So I would go eat a full Domino's pizza. I'd have 3 full, whole, those big share ones, chocolate bars, donuts. I remember one time I went in and just had 5 donut packs, 5 cookie packs, ate them all. It was just unstoppable. And when you're eating it, it's not even like you're enjoying each bite or anything like that. It's just that it really feels that it has a power over you and it's uncontrollable. It was so bad. And there was moments in the time where I reined it in because I was trying to remember how strict I was during the prep. That I was like, you can do this. Like, this didn't happen to you before. You can be strict again. And I was in this cycle of trying to lose the fat that I was putting on through restricting. So then I was restricting again. I would be okay. But then I would fall back into this shit, like, I can't have this food, I can't have that food. And walking into a coffee shop still, I would want to get a croissant or I'd want to get a cookie. And I would stop myself being like, no, you can't. No, you shouldn't do that. You have food at home. No, you don't do that. And I just wouldn't be present with like my family or my friends or anything because I would constantly be thinking about food. Throughout this process anyway, I did get, from eating more, I did get my period back. But like, your menstrual cycle isn't just that 3 or 5 days, it's the whole cycle. And I knew I was still really off, even though that 3 to 5 days was present there. It doesn't matter. It's not like the be all and end all of your cycle. The whole cycle, your follicular, your ovulation, your luteal, your menstruation, all of those stages matter. Just because your menstruation there does not mean that the whole menstrual cycle is top tier, and it wasn't. Anyway, throughout all of that, throughout putting on the fat and the power that food had over me, my mental health, body image, food relationship was just so bad. I hit such a low. I went on to antidepressants and I put up a video about that on Instagram. I'd have the oddest symptoms. I'd have remunerations in my head, which I never had before. I would constantly be saying the same sentence over and over and over again in my head. I thought there was something wrong with me. It would be like the same sentence going over my head 20 times. Or I'd play a song like 20 times. Not even 20, it's not always 20, but slow, which I would just completely be out of it. I would not be present whatever I was doing anyway. I could never sit and relax because food would always be on my mind. I was doing things to distract myself from eating rather than eating to fuel myself so I can focus on doing other things in my life. They're still doing the exact same thing. You're eating and you're doing stuff in your life. But my mindset and my perspective on it was completely flip-flopped. That's why it just shows you how much power food had over me. I was trying to distract myself constantly from it rather than just eating. Food's food. Now go live your life. It was go try and distract yourself as much and long as you can so that you're not thinking about food, and then go eat as little as possible. And everything was still so tracked. Now, I love tracking and I still love tracking, but it's the mindset around tracking that can fuck you up. So rather than going for good mental health walks with fresh air and getting out in nature and breathing in the air, it was how many steps are required to lose fat. Anyway, I got to a point where 7 or so months in, 8 months in, I was just like, I cannot continue with this cycle. I know I was going through a good patch, then a bad patch, then a good patch, then a bad patch. And I was like, I can't continue like this. Like, I'm looking ahead in the future being like, I don't want to be 30, 32, 33 and just be like fucking shit up. And possibly passing on any negative relationship with my body or food onto other people around me just based on how I see things and what I might say. So what I've done is I've decided to face my fear, which is basically putting on fat. That's my fear. And it's not even like, when you say it like that, you're just like, what? That's like one of your biggest fears. Like, yeah. So I just decided to give myself permission to focus on my mental health, focus on my relationship with food, and give myself permission to eat whatever the fuck I want, and no matter quantity, whatever I want. And it's kind of like this exposure therapy that, you know, if you get exposed to something enough, you'll realize that, okay, it's not actually that scary, and it'll give you a bit of break. So that's my thought process behind it. I want to reclaim my power over food. I'll eat what I want. I'll eat when I want, in the quantity I want, rather than having this hold over me. Do that. In my head, I had to say every day, maybe multiple times a day, no restrictions, no judgments, and your body image is not a priority right now. You're going to go through a healing phase. Your body image is not a priority. So the first week was insane. Like, I can smash some food if I want to smash some food. And because I was like, no restrictions, I'll smash some food. Because I was restricting so many foods, thinking that's bad food, that's good food, this is healthy, that's not healthy, that's so high in calorie dense, this is like processed, this is good food. All of those things are true, but I gave it way too much power. So, and also you can enjoy your cookie, you can enjoy your donut. The fact that I thought, like, you cannot have that is going to make you fat, or that is going to make you spiral, that is going to make you this. I was giving so much power to a food type, and it's just, the food is no power. It's just that you're giving it power, and I'm giving it power. I ate cookies, I ate chocolate, I ate donuts, I ate croissants, I ate whatever the fuck I wanted. I think I went out for dinner with my friends. I was like, yeah, I'm having this, whatever. And I had to constantly say, no judgment, no restriction, no judgment, no restriction. And even though I was eating all that shit, that was like my, if it was like good food, bad food, that was like my extreme of my bad food. After a while, I was like, oh my god. Like, my skin looked shit. I kind of felt lethargic. You know, there's a lot of energy and calories in those foods, but they don't make you feel great. No matter how much you're happy during the moment, like, when you eat that much of it, it it just blocks up your digestive system. It makes you feel really tired. But again, I was going through this thing, so there was no restrictions through it. What I realized was that I was actually restricting bagels, wraps, and all those types of carbs as well, because I saw them as not worth it for the amount of volume that they would take up in getting me full. So I was actually staying away from all of those carbs which are not even that bad as well. And I started to realise during that first week how nervous I was, not just around the treats, but also normal foods that people can always have all of the time. I was so scared of these types of foods. The mental chatter around these types of foods was just insane. And it was during this time where I was like doing no restrictions that I really realised the effect that this thought process had on me. A week went by. I was up. The calories I tracked just because I wanted to know what was going on, what was it getting into my body, but no restrictions, obviously. I tracked, and I think some days I hit up like 4,500 calories. Other days a tiny bit lower, but the majority of days were 100% over 3,500 calories. So the average, I think, was 3,700 that first week. Now, obviously, I put on weight and a lot of water retention and probably some fat. But again, we're constantly saying this, body image doesn't matter. After the first week, I actually felt way more relaxed around foods just after day 3 of doing that. Like, yes, those 3 days I went into the shops, I went to Dunnes stores, I was like, getting this. I went into coffee shops, I was like, getting this. So I just went on a big splurge. After 3 days of that, the lethargy set in, the feeling dehydrated set in. I was like, oh, do you know what? I actually just craved putting something more nourishing into my body. Now, nourishing doesn't mean I restricted calories. I just said, like, do you know what? Maybe I should have some turkey medallions and eggs and stuff like that, and veggies. Just get some good fibre into my body. The thing I was doing during this week is that whenever I saw something and a thought came into my head being like, even if I walked by a croissant in a shop or whatever, I might not necessarily want the croissant that much, but if a thought came into my head being like, there's a croissant, you can't have that, I would try and challenge that thought. And even though I might not be actually hungry in that moment in time, I made sure to buy the croissant and I ate the croissant, because that is literally evidence to me that the croissant is not going to do anything to you. It's not going to hurt you, and it just basically numbs that previous negative thought that I had around it. After switching back to healthier foods but still eating, you know, going out for coffees and going out for treats and stuff with my friends, I was still on high calories, but my digestion with the more calories improved so much. It was actually shocking. Like, I felt energetic, I felt lovely and warm, and I got to the stage where I actually, after the first week, probably past the first week, actually felt like I could take a breath. That I could feel this calming sensation just come over my body, almost like my body then realised that, okay, she's eating a lot, but we can relax. And I could literally feel this wave of just relaxation come over my body. And a lot of anxiety, a lot of fight or flight, a lot of like, I have to go do this, I have to go do that, the chatter, everything just calmed down so much. So much so that it actually gave me time to look at what other coping mechanisms I can have to deal with daily stress other than eating food. So it gave me that relaxation, like, because I was eating so much anyway, I was not restricting, that other things still stressed me out, but I was eating so much that, you know, I kind of realised that, well, food's not going to help you. So I could actually look at other things to try and calm my nervous system. And doing this whole process gave me the chance to actually take a breath, relax. I know that there's so much food there that I was able to look at other things to have in my toolbox to take out to calm me down. I have those things to go to rather than just eating a bag of cookies to get some comfort. I know that these will actually be more helpful and more grounding to me during this stressful time. So at the start of this, I was about 64 kg. By the end of this, and it's not over yet, but by the end of this like 10-day period, I was up to 70 kg, which is a lot it's a bit of a jump. But I was like, whatever, I'm more focusing on me, and I know well that this is not going to last like a lifetime. I don't know how long it's going to last. There's no time frame on it, but that's just the way it was. Now, I felt physically so bloated, swollen, like flabby, rolly, And I had to have the most positive outlook on that. Because remember, like 8 days ago, this was like my fucking fear that I was going to feel like ugly and fat. But it just switched, being like, no, you are looking after you. You're looking after your relationship with food. You're looking after your body. So that you're looking ahead. You're doing this now so that you can have a better relationship with food in the future and you're not going to go back. And that was actually very empowering. To put body image into the boot and just be like, do you know what? Fuck you for a little while. There's other things that are more important and I'm going to focus on them. So the change of focus is like the biggest thing that I learned. Like, where your attention goes, energy flows. And I felt so empowered in my body that I wasn't thinking about what other people were thinking about me. I was just focusing on me. Now, usually I would wear sports bras, leggings into the gym, and I'm not strong enough yet to still be going around with my feeling flabby in myself and still wearing that. So I just did what was going to keep me on track and not being restrictive. I put on the biggest, baggiest hoodies and the biggest, baggiest trousers possible and still went into the gym and still moved my body and still did what I loved. I was not going to stop because I was worried about what other people were going to think, like, oh, she's put on a few pants and she's looking a bit watery. Just throw on the clothes and know your self-worth. You deserve to be in there no matter what you look or how you feel about yourself. So I went in, did my thing, came out. Midweek 2, there was actually one morning I woke up and I felt like not eating. I was like, oh, I just feel a bit full from yesterday. And I thought, like, oh, maybe I should listen to this and just not eat. And then I thought, you know what? With you and what you've done before, that would probably just spiral into restricting and trying to undo what you just did the last 10 days. So I said, okay, I'm going to go down and I'm going to eat my breakfast and just eat my food anyway. Still ate a good bit. Maybe that was my lowest day. I might have had like 2.8, still quite high. But I ate food and made sure I did not go back into restricting, not even skipping a meal. I was like, no. We need to prove it to ourselves that food is always there and that we're not going to restrict. Second week, I had small bits of chocolate bars. Like, it just wasn't a big focus in this week for me. Not because I chose that, it just, from being through it the last week, it lost a lot of power for me, which is great. So this week I was kind of more focused on eating like nutritious meals, getting my good workouts in, but absolutely not restricting. Every time I thought about food, or if I wanted to go into a coffee shop, I did, got it, whatever. But I was a lot calmer about it. Plus, because I was still going to the gym, because I was still going out for my walks, because I was still doing my cardio, my actual thought process around those things changed a lot as well. You're still doing those things, but why you're doing them and your mindset around doing them completely flipped. And now I'm so happy about it. My steps returned to being out in the fresh air, getting fresh air into my lungs, good for my mental health, good for my digestion. And I just love walks. I always have loved walks. Out in nature, feeling grounded. And it didn't go through my head that you're doing 10,000 steps because you need to lose fat. That wasn't there anymore, because in my head I was like, no matter how many steps you're going to do, you're not going to burn off 5,000 calories. So it was just like, whatever, I'm just going out for a nice walk, which was such a relief. And it was so nice to go back to that thought process That's not steps, it's just a walk. But as I said, I love tracking, but my reasons for tracking have now changed within the short space of time. And your reasons, your why for doing things is so important. And I'm so happy that I took this time to flip my why, and I was not expecting it to happen that quickly. In this section here, I wanted to just give myself 2 weeks to go through the first bit, but I will update you after each week and let you know how it goes and what I've learned. But that's what I've learned so far, because the first 2 weeks are pretty intense. Okay. A week has gone by. I was in London for a few days, and I think the disruption to routine actually helped a lot, because I was out eating food. We kind of ate when we were all hungry, so I wasn't even, sometimes I was going towards my own hunger cues, or sometimes I was just like being fed because I was in someone's house, which is great. And I was put into basically a position where I couldn't control food, so that was really, really good. I think I ate less than normal. It was a good mix of actually eating my own foods in the morning and then having food out. Like, I had a full-blown pizza. I was just living my life with my donuts and my cookies and my snacks and coffees out, and I was walking past coffee shops the whole time, so usually that would really trigger me, and I'd always want to have everything that was in the coffee shop. But the food scarcity thoughts and like me thinking I'll never be in this coffee shop again, I must get something, has quietened down a lot. It's gone, I would say it's gone down to nearly zero. I'm not really too bothered about it anymore, so that's really good. Also, like in the morning time, in between, the time between meals was so varied because I was doing different things. My food focus was so low unless something was planned, because I would always be going walking somewhere, doing something with my friends, talk with my friends, catch up with my friends. So it was so nice in that way to get away from my own routine, because it allowed me to actually completely focus on everything but food and working out. Like, I usually would in the morning go to a gym session even if I was traveling, and this time around I was a bit injured before I even went. I was really fatigued, so I just said, you know, fuck it, I'm just gonna not go to a gym when I'm abroad. I'm just gonna walk and chill out for a while. So it's a complete reset. Came back, I still have all my lovely foods, and I actually really appreciate my normal foods that I always get now and eating clean. So I feel like my mindset is really, really improved. So I'm happy, very, very happy. But yeah, the diet, the cut, the calorie deficit starts on Monday. So my reset period of like no restrictions, no nothing, is coming to an end. I do feel like I'm in a good position, but I am nervous also. We're gonna take it nice and slow and see how it goes. So I'm planning out the deficit now for the next 12 weeks, and the reverse. I'm gonna plan it all out week by week. What changes are being made to calories, stairs, steps, just so I have a broad sense of what's going to happen. And then of course I'll reassess each week and see if anything does need to be moved or if things can just stay the same. But I just want to have it set out so I'm not freaking out or pushing myself too hard because I'm upset about the rate of weight loss. So it's good to not be trying to think about it whilst you're in like week 6 of deficit and you're freaking out, whatever. So yeah, that's this week's check-in. All's good, I'm happy. So yeah, see you next week. Another week has gone down and I'm down to 2,000 calories consistently. So I'm happy with that. And something that I've change that has helped dramatically, and I wasn't expecting it to help so much, was I don't put into my fitness pal what I eat until like 7 p.m. just before dinner. And what I do instead is, in case I forget something, I don't want to be thinking about food the whole time or tracking in my head. What I do is I write it into my notes section on my phone. So like say I have like a Greek yogurt bowl, I'll write 250 grams of Greek yogurt, 10 grams of raisins or whatever. I'll still weigh things, but I won't track them, because I found that I was actually trying to, it was like a to-do list, like I had to hit 150 grams of protein, and I was constantly thinking about hitting that, and seeing the number and seeing the bars go up and the calories go down, and that was giving me a lot of anxiety. So when I changed to that, I was just always thinking about, okay, like have a high protein breakfast, high protein lunch, whatever. Have this chocolate bar, it'd be grand. You know, it was all very much like within reason. And I would get to 7 p.m. and I'd realise that I have absolutely loads of calories left to eat, and still I wouldn't have thought about food so much or so intensely throughout the day, and I could give my energy and time to other things. I could leave the house without even thinking about food. You know, if I got hungry on the way, it'd be grand, I'd always pop in and get something, and I'd just like note it down. So making that change drastically changed my relationship with food, and I wasn't expecting it to at all. So I'm very happy. The other thing is that obviously before I would have got a lot of food anxiety going out and about with friends or going out for lunch, and I'm just officially starting my cut this week, so a few days ago, or last week really was kind of start the cut, but I'm taking it very, very slowly and just dropping 100 calories or increasing cardio as we go. But one of the girls was like, we need to have a lunch and we have to do this and celebrate another one of our friends leaving, which I was so on for as well. Like I kind of suggested it at the start that we all need to get together, and then it kind of reality hit, being like, oh yeah, Thursday at 10:30 we're going to do it. And it was just this moment of like, oh, I can't control what I get there, what the macros are, or it's not going to fit perfectly into my plan or whatever. But that was only for 10 seconds, I'd say. And then my new thought process kicked in, being like, you know, shut up, like one meal out, one social occasion isn't going to ruin everything. You can have the super high, low calorie foods around the rest of the day and just guesstimate what you have out, and it'll be fine. You know, it's not this dramatic end of world thing. It's not like you're in prep. Do you know what I mean? So I was so happy with that. And I feel like I'm leveled out a lot. So I'm very, very happy. But yeah, next week we'll see how we go, because we're going to be dropping again in calories. But yeah, we'll see. I'm going to make this one really quick. So I went down to 1900 yesterday, first day of it, and I think I might have had a freak out. I've been absolutely burnt out. My muscles are in bits, my back is in bits, I'm tired, I'm waking up tired. And then I went down to 1900 yesterday, my cardio went up. Did cardio fine. I'm struggling with the weights, energy is not there. And I just ate all around me. And but I think I was eating because I was actually so tired. I was trying to get some energy into me. It wasn't like overly emotional at all. But because that's what I did when I was binging, I could see myself getting almost back into the habit of it. And then I woke up this morning and I was going to go and like eat loads again, but it was just as a habit thing, but I didn't. So I had that mental strength to just be like, no, this is not what we do anymore. Why are we doing this? I was almost like, what is wrong with you, in my head? But I think it made me realise that, like, you know, you need to deload when you're feeling like that. And if you're on a fat loss journey, it's not, going to the gym is important, but like recovery and rest, so that you don't feel the need to absolutely eat loads to gain a smidgen of energy. like rest and recovery are more important. So it's going through my head even taking a week off of weightlifting and just focusing on, you know, the cardio and the deficit at the moment, just to let my body relax, because it just feels so achy. And like, I know it's not from cardio or anything like that, and I haven't been sleeping that well. So yeah, other than that, I went out and had my pancakes, felt great, unreal, loved them. But yeah, we will now go forward with the diet, using a bit of a deload week, and taking it easy on myself in terms of weightlifting and prioritising the cardio and the deficit. And if I don't get everything in, I don't get everything in. Will be chill mindset. Hello, so it's been about 3 weeks now since I've done a little video over the Easter holidays, and it's been wavy. So like hitting calories, doing my bits, but then having a serious munch. It's like on a random day. And then I always also took a week off the gym, and I'm slowly building back. But I had my Easter egg. I had a nice time. I'm not going to say there's no guilt around it, because there is, and I've gotten a bit more stricter with myself since, but it's not even guilt that I shouldn't have the Easter egg. It's like I'm standing at the top of a big hill, and if I take one step, I'll fall down the hill. And it's like that with binging. Like, you're just very aware of, like, I know it's just an Easter egg, but then I will want to have like 10 of them. And it's the resistance of not having 10. And then you feel guilty for even putting yourself in that position. And then that brings the cycle of like, just avoid the food. That does that to you. I don't want to avoid that. And I don't think it's normal to avoid it either. So it's just tough getting through that section. But at the moment, I'm on 17,000 calories and 50 minutes cardio, along with my other bits and bobs with weightlifting and Muay Thai. So, like, from 4,000 calories and uncontrollable, I am slowly grabbing like control of the food and coming into a nice deficit. So we'll see how, I can hear my tummy rumbling, we deal with that. Like, even with hunger, the feeling of hunger, I know it's just a feeling, and it's not that there's food scarcity, it's not that I'm always going to be hungry, and it's not that I always have to say no to every single thing. But if you're in a diet, you just have to suck it up and choose that pain for what you want in the future. But yeah, we'll see how the next week goes and how this further deficit goes. Well, okay, I think this is going to be the last entry, because I have consistently done 2 1,600 calorie weeks, up and down a tiny bit of variation between day to day, but I'm managing my food cravings and just food in general, and being out and about and getting back into a deficit and mastering discipline, focus, and then self-talk, all of this section of dieting is just a phase, and that I will come out of it, reverse, maintain, and go back into bulking maybe properly for the first time ever at some stage. So I'm really happy that I got here. There was no time limit on this video or this whole little journey, because I didn't know how I was going to react. But the hot weather, the sun really helped. Just being able to get out of the house, have a different focus rather than constantly thinking about food and my next meal. My food noise was off the charts. Like, not even being able to eat my own food around people, not being able to share food, not being able to see other people get a treat out when they were having coffee or something like that. And if I did, then it was a spiral. And now I know that I can have a day off within a diet section for an event or something like that, I can either plan around it, or I can just be like, fuck it, no, I'm just gonna do whatever I want today, then tomorrow will be a reset, and I trust myself to actually do that. So that is a big major win. The things that really helped the last few weeks, managing my cravings to go into a deficit. Now, I'm not going to keep these strategies all the time, it's just for a deficit, is 1, pushing my meal out until 11. It's easier to keep the fast going after sleep rather than having a big section. And I like to be full going to bed. I really don't like going to bed anyway hungry. It just makes me very upset, so I don't do that. Also getting out of the house during the day. Beforehand I would be very scared to leave the house without food, but now I just bring like a little tub of fruit, watermelon or something like that, and then that alone, I just know that that's there, keeps me calm. What else? Oh yeah, savoury breakfasts have been an absolute game changer. I knew that they would be, but actually put them into practice and then realising the effect that it has on me mentally and like the roller coaster of cravings is massive for me. If I have, let's say, toast and marmalade in the breakfast, that is going to set me off for a craving roller coaster. If I have oats in the morning, again a craving old roller coaster. Even though I love protein oats and they're like one of my favourite meals, that's a no, I can't do that, because I just want loads of food then. So my go-tos have been kind of more a clean fry, like so turkey medallions, beans, eggs, some toast, but no really sweet condiments like jam or anything like that. I'd even be careful with relish. So I have avocado, I make this like guacamole smash. So anything like that in the morning, I'm fine with it. And I eat in it, I'm full. I still kind of want more food because I'm in a cut, but I'm not really craving more. Sugar makes me crave so much. Whereas with savoury foods, in my head I realise I'm full. I am full, and I can go about my day easier and not constantly be thinking about my next meal, compared to if I actually had a sweet breakfast that morning, because like I would find it so hard to stop eating sweet stuff. So yeah, that was been a game changer. So what I did, the rules were not eat till 11 for my cut. I can have whatever drinks I want in the morning. I can have how many coffees. I know it's not great, but we're in a cut, okay? So the rules are bent. Eat at 11, have a savoury breakfast. My next food is pushed out 4 hours, and then it's another savoury meal. And then I can have carbs and stuff like that after 6. That was the rule. Even if I was going to go for a training session, I can't have any sweet carbs until after 6. And I'd always train before that. So I'd be kind of using more caffeine as my boost to go gymming. But yeah, I'm really happy with the progress. I've slimmed down a good bit. Still a bit to go to where I want to be, but in terms of body image, it's a lot better. I'm now wearing shorts, and I was completely covered up at the start of this video. Food noise, way better, like way better. Managing my calories, everything. Like I was going from 4,000 a day, going crazy, to easily managing 1,600, which is a big thing. And I've got cardio and I've got a whole plan set out. So I'm really happy with my progress. If anyone else is going through a really hard time with food noise, body image, just a relationship with food in general, know that because I thought I was a freak. No, you're not alone. You're going to get through this as long as you give yourself time to get through this and you focus on what you need to do to manage it and progress through this phase. Going crazy at the start, even though it was scary, even though I put on weight, even though I put on water weight, even though I had to hide in like hoodies and baggy sweats, it really helped me in terms of food scarcity and knowing that the food's always going to be there. The food does not have power over me. It gave me a breather to let me take control of myself again, which I have done, and I feel a lot more like myself. And you know, from being disciplined machine through live hard prep to go into absolute out of control, it was like an identity crisis in the same time. So you know, you just have to take it easy on yourself and know that you go through highs and lows with this. And I'm really happy that I'm balanced, and I've learned a lot about myself and my body and my cravings and what works for me throughout this whole learning process of healing and trying to reduce the food noise. So, you know, silver lining, I'm kind of grateful for that as well. But yeah, we will end it here. And if anyone ever needs to reach out about any struggling wise, they're struggling with food or body image, just let me know.